Hey guys, my name is Reverend Phoenix, and welcome to the Structure of Man Learn to Draw the Human Figure from your Mind Training course. Okay, so from the previous lesson, here we've reached a significant milestone in drawing out this structure and understanding of the skeleton system of the figure, and now we're going to look at understanding the foot, right? So we're going to invent the rules and understandings of it as to how it's going to look. So for this, we really don't have to look at every bone of the foot. We only need to look at the bones of the foot when we get to the muscle area. And the reason for this is because this is where we need to understand the foot more as a basic shape form than a bone form, right? Because in the end, what's going to happen is once we understand the muscles of the foot, it's just going to come down to basic shapes anyways. Okay, so to uh, understand the foot, what we need to do is actually start out with a block of wood and really chisel it out so we can start to form some kind of conceptual idea in the mind as to what's going on with it. So to start out here, we're going to draw out two boxes in 3D. So let's do it actually about here. So here I'm just going to draw out a line like this over here. You can make this a little darker. We can make it go and just draw about two parallel lines. And here we can draw this one in this way over here. Okay, and we can make it go a little more further if we wanted to. Basically, we want to create two rectangular boxes. So here I'm just going to draw out a line so you can see what I'm doing. And here roughly just create like this rectangle over here. Right, so this is the top of that box. And the other one we're going to space it out. Let's just space it out over here and see how this will work out for us. So do the same thing over here and basically give it about the same length over here in this way. So this gives us two boxes over here, right? So here and here. So once we have this, we just need to remove this line here and this line here, right? We'll uh, remove these two lines in a second. So here I just need to go down from here about this much, and over here we'll do the same thing over here. So basically this should be about this big. This is fine. Okay, so we're going to, and this one goes this way, and basically this one should be this way. Okay, and this one again, same thing here, just make this box in this way. So here we've got two boxes, right? So here we can just erase this line over here. Okay, so this is going to be the left, and this is going to be the right. Okay, so again, we are going to have to invent this conceptual idea of this thing we're going to call the foot, right? And the foot's responsibility is obviously going to be able to do multiple things. One is that it needs to be able to support the entire structure of the skeleton system that we've created so far, and it also needs the ability for it to be able to, let's say, walk and run, right? So what we'll do is first we'll solve that problem. How are we going to make this guy stand up on these two devices? So the first thing is here we're just going to curve this from here like this here from the back. So this is the heel that we're going to call for the structure, right? So here I'm going to make this one a little more like this. So here it's going to be the same thing. I'm just going to curve it up like this. Remember, we're just chiseling it out. So once we have this, we can now start to erase this and erase this, right? So this outside view is obviously going to be your small finger on the foot, and your toe will be here, and over here the toe will be here, and the small uh, uh, finger will be there. Okay, so once we have this, we're now going to have to create a way for it to be able to stand. So to do that, what we're going to state is that, okay, look, just about halfway over here, where we've got this, we're going to actually cut this over here and then and take out, chisel out a piece of wood out from under it like this. Right, so here I'm going to do the same thing. Over here about half. Again, all of this just has to be approximate. It's just a conceptual form of the structure. Okay, so this is going to go away over here, and this is going to go away over here. Okay, so this is a little small because it's just going a little bit in perspective. Okay, so it doesn't matter. You don't have to do it small. You can do it a little big. I'm just used to drawing out things in perspective and stuff. Okay, so basically this needs to go parallel to that one, right? So once we have this, what we need to do is now create that structure. So here we're just going to state that, okay, well, let's bring it out at least a little bit over here. We're going to now take a new piece of wood, and we're going to put this piece of wood over here like this, and basically we're going to like make sure it goes parallel here with these other lines, and going to cut it and make it go like this, kind of like this, okay? And do the same thing over here. Just bring it down a little bit over here and do the same thing. Bring it over here. And just make sure that we're kind of parallel to this so it looks correct in perspective. Right, again, this is conceptual. Okay, so once we get this, now what we need to do is basically this is now up off the ground. We need to make this come back down on the ground. So to do that, we're just going to swing a line here and just say that this is where the foot is going to end, right? So here we'll do the same thing. It's just going to come back down a little bit. So it's like a little bit of a swing over here. And again, just do this in perspective over here. This will give us like the bottom of the foot. Right, so it's going to come up and then it's just going to swing down. Okay, so once this happens, what we're going to do is that from here we're going to connect this and just finish it off, make it like a sharp point, and this will give us a foot over here. Okay, so once we get this, we can now start to erase some of these lines to start to see a form over here, because we're going to be now adding a little more of our ideas here, starting to get the mind to understand the basic concept of the foot. So here I'm just going to erase some of these lines that are inside over here and just finish off the design. So this one will just come over here like this, and this one will come over here like this, okay? And just keep this line here. So same thing over here. Okay, right, so this is the bottom, right? We came up and then we swung down back into the floor, right? So over here, it will be the same thing on this end. Right, so if you feel that you want to adjust the lines a little bit, you can do that over here, right? Okay, so once we have this, we now need to create very basic rules. Now remember, what's going to happen is it's going to be very easy to draw this out freehand, because it's really just understanding this basic idea of the form as to these three steps, right? It was 1, 2, and 3, right? You don't have to draw the foot out like this, but this will help to understand how easy it is to draw it freehand. So once we have this, we're going to now create a line over here. Basically, we're going to add a piece of wood over here on this side, and this means that we're going to have to add a piece of wood on the other side. Now this is where we'll have to start to think a little bit from the other side here, right? They're opposites. And basically we're going to take this line and we're going to come back in here Okay, so this is a piece of wood that we've added that goes like this. And this piece of wood, obviously, you're just not going to see much of it because it's in perspective, right? So see how it's behaving in perspective. So once we have this, we can now erase these lines, and begin to see our idea go through the manifestation process, right? So this over here is going to play a significant role in the design of the foot. So once we have this, we're going to now come up with a rule as to, okay, well, we definitely need two of these things called toes, and these toes need to be here, but we need a way to do it in a way where it's just going to balance. So basically, once we have this line in the center, like if I divide this line in the center, I'm just going to do this very lightly here. When we have this line in the center, basically if you divide from here to here in half and then come back, just know that right where the center is, it's just a little bit to the right. Right, so from here, what we want to do is take a line from here and basically cut out around here, right? This halfway, from here to here, halfway, if I put a line, you're going to come out, and or you can go a little back, it doesn't really matter, but we're going to cut this piece of wood out over here. So it's going to be the same thing. It's half here, so I'm going to cut a piece of wood out, and about halfway I'm going to have to turn this like this, right? So this is now going in perspective, so you just have to wing it over here, right? This will cut it, and this will give us the room for our little fingers. Okay, so now once this is done, we know that this is going to be where your small fingers are going to be on the foot over here, and then your toe is going to come here. So we'll do the same thing, that from here we'll also chisel this out just like this. It doesn't have to go all the way over here. It's going to be basically the same thing, that this curve, it's really just going all the way to the other side, but it's a much more bigger curve, right? It's a much more slower curve because there's not much room to do the curve. So basically on this side here, what we did was over here, we cut it just like this, right? This line here is this line here, right? So this will help us to understand a little bit more about what we're doing. So once we've done this here, let me just erase some of these lines here. Once we've done this, now we will come up with a rule that, okay, what we want to do is let's just expand this guy just a little bit over here, right? So make it come out a little more about here, right? So this means that we're just going to expand this over here, right? And then this line here now just connects over here. Okay, so we expanded this, and this is going to be that bone on the side. Here's where your small finger is. This is going to be that bone that you're going to feel on the side of your little finger, right? So this is actually going a little bit on the angle. So over here, it's really going to be just the same thing. From here, you're just making it come out a little more over here, right? Just like this. That's all we did. Okay, so again, there's not much of a modification that we're doing. So since we've done it over here like this, what we'll do is that we'll do the same thing a little bit on the other side too, right? We can just expand it a little bit over there. So basically over here where this is, where we can do the same thing, that where we have this here, we're just going to expand this just a little bit over here and then come over here, right? So this bone here is going to be where your toe is going to be here, and basically you're going to get like this bone over here. Okay, so this really is going to go like this and over here, right? So we're done with this side, and here we can't really see the other side, but here we can't really see the other side over there, right? So once we've done this, what we need to understand is that this is the middle of the foot, and it's really going to be over here where we have the center over here, then come back. This is really the line of the foot that we need to be aware of, because this is going to go right through the center over here, right? Just like this. So once we have this, what we'll do is we'll make it go up just a little bit over here, right? So here's the line over here, and then I'm going to go here. So it's really this line here that I want to talk about, that I wanted to go up a little bit over like this. Basically, it's like we're designing a shoe, right? So once we've gotten this, what we want to do is basically take this line from here, right? And we want to make an arch over here like this. So it's here, you're going to have to sketch this out a little bit, feel your way through this. Basically, we want to come like this and over here and go like this, right? So imagine this to be a shoe, but this is the opening of it, right? So it's the same thing over here. We're going to do the same thing, this arch, and then this arch is going to go, right? So just note that over here, this arch is smaller and this one is much more longer going on the other side, right? So over here, when we did it, this is more of an arch over here, right? So you have to kind of like sketch it out like this to feel your way through it. Once you get the line across, then you can just decide, okay, this is how I really want it, right? Use that drawing process that we want to instill in the mind, that should be comfortable with it, right? It shouldn't be feeling frustration or any kind of thinking that somehow it's making a mistake. It's not, right? And especially when you're drawing in front of people, these drawing processes is something that you always want to let people know that this is how the drawing process is always going to be regardless, right? So here we've got this idea over here. Okay, so once we have this, right, so basically we've solved the issue of understanding the foot. So what needs to happen is now we had talked about the tibia and the fibula. So basically that needs to be able to fit somewhere over here, right? So what we need to do is actually do a cut of this. So if this was the center line over here, okay, this is the center. I'm going to do a little bit, I'm going to move a little bit to the left and, you know, cut it, but over here I'm going to cut it more over here, right? So this was the center line of this guy here. This is the center. We just went to the left, but over here we divided this in half basically and cut this, right? So this means that this idea here now has to be cut and pretty much now needs to be curved in this way, right? So it's going to come over here and it's going to be going in this way, right? So you're going to again have to sketch out the idea here a little bit to understand how to put that down. But basically I just like it's like you're just punching it in a little bit, right? So now you're going to get this over here like this, and then you're going to get this arch, and basically you're going to get this bone that's stuck outside over here. Okay, so this means that this arch now has to be adjusted, so it just attached over here. Okay, and we can erase this line over here, right? So this means that where we cut this, it's going to lose itself over here too. Okay, so this is the basic concept of the foot. So basically over here, what we're going to get is that you're going to have, let's say, like a box shape over here. Okay, you're going to have really like a bone system over here. Here we can say that, okay, I'll just put a block of wood over here, right? It's just going to be high up over here. For now, just put a box like this, okay? And this is where the tibia is going to be connected, right? So imagine that this is going to be a box here, then you're going to get the bone for the tibia that's going to be connecting over here. So if we, let's say in this much more magnified way, say that this is going to be like the tibia, right? Just conceptually imagine this is the tibia. Then what's going to happen is that you're going to get the fibula over here, right? And it's going to be a little bit on the back, as we had stated, right? So it's going to go in its direction over there, right? So it's going to be not behind, right? It's already in the back anyways. So this will help to understand, okay, we understand what's going on. Basically, this is that direction, right? This is that direction that those two bones here for your foot will be, right? They'll go like your foot will be here, and then when you get all the muscles, right, it's really just going to be this design, and this is what causes that bone to stick out, and the other bone is on the other side caused by this one. Okay, we can't see it over here. So again, it's the same thing over here on this side, that if we have divided this in half, we know that we just need to do it opposite, right? Over here we did more here, we're just going to do it opposite over here. Come back down like this. In this way, right, you're now going to get this is going to be more of an arch in this way, a longer arch that's going in this way, right? And we're going to have to adjust this. So here we're just going to get rid of this. Right, so if you practice this lesson, you'll begin to just conceptually understand what's going to happen. And when we, in the next lesson, we're going to start to look at now the formulas to really understand what happened here. And then all of this will make sense, right? So here we can adjust this also over here, this guy over here, right? Just make it go more up, and it's going to go like this, right? So over here it's the same thing. We're going to cut it. This one we can lose over here, and he's going to get the same thing. So that piece of bone, that piece of bone really would be coming out this way. It would be a little bit out in this end. Okay, so this is that box shape that we wanted to put over here. So here I'm just going to sketch it out. It's like this, and now just erase this and just think about this a little more. Right, it's going to be like this, like this. It's going to be like this over here. It's like this piece of bone, and we'll learn to understand where this is placed. Right, so again, you're going to get your, let's imagine like your tibia is over here, right? So this is that point where you're going to get that that point in the bone over here. Your muscles are going to be here for the foot. This is why it's higher, and your fibula is now on the other side. It's going to be on their side, right? So the muscles here obviously will connect, and this is where the design of the foot will come, right? So just keep these ideas always with you, because now when we look at the formulas for the foot, all of this is going to start to make sense as to what in the world is going on with the foot, right? It's actually very easy to grab this conceptually, right? So here we can see that the foot is a little odd shaped, but it's really understanding the secret concept as to what's going on, right? So if we had to draw this freehand right now without the formulas, right, it's very easy. We could even look at this and say, okay, well, let's say if we were doing a gesture system, and let's say we just drew like this Mickey Mouse foot over here in our gesture drawing, right? This is how the foot is going. We know that this is the first drawing process. In the second drawing process, we can now imagine this. Okay, oh, this is going to be easy. We know that really it's just like this idea here. See, like this sketching style that I'm doing. This is like feeling your way through it, that okay, well, I just want the foot. I know that really this is the outer. It went like this. We had cut it like this, make it go here, and this is really going to be your heel, and then it's going to come up, it's going to go this way, and you're pretty much done, right? You got the foot. And then once you erase it, now you get a much more realistic idea here. And remember, this is over here, this is the outer foot that we did, so we know that the fibula is over here, and this is why understanding anatomy is going to help out, because now you know where to put this, right? It's just going to be much more lower over here, right? It's going to be like this. Let's say conceptually, if we're doing like a cartoonish thing, right, it would be just coming in this way over here, and then we know that it's going to go here for the foot. And here, I mean, you can just go on your way here, right? So you can get a very basic idea of the foot and then add more details to it, right? Then this would come down to understanding things in basic shape. That's how easy it is to understand the foot, right? So my recommendation here is to just make sure that you get the concept of how we chisel this out and try to do like some freehand, be able to conceptually put this together freehand, because it's going to help a lot. Right, so when we look at the formulas, all of these things are going to magically fit together. So I'll see you in the next lesson. Thanks.